Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and obviously you can tell by the thumbnail and the title of this video that I'm upset. I've been lied to, I feel bamboozled and led astray, and I'm here to tell you about my feelings on the love hypothesis. The Love Hypothesis is by Ali Hazelwood, and it is a romance that is taking social media by storm. It came out in September, and it's like all the rage on TikTok, and I've seen so many people that I follow and listen to reviews from and everything love this book, and I haven't been reading as much romance, and so I was like, oh well, everyone is loving this. I heard that it was a Raylo fanfic, but it really means nothing to me because I know who Raylo is, but I don't watch Star Wars, so I know nothing about like their relationship. So I was like, okay, whatever. But I heard fake dating and women in STEM, and that's kind of it. And I just heard really great things, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I borrowed it from the library, and at first we were off to a decent start. I was like, okay, you know, like the writing is decent. I'm, you know, getting through this pretty quickly, maybe the first 15-20%, and then I kept waiting to care about these people and waiting to be less annoyed with the main character, and that didn't happen. So I would have to think about how many romance books I've read that are fake dating tropes, because I'm not sure yet, I think that fake dating is not for me, because it was the trope used in Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and I didn't love that one. And at the time I was like, was it me? Was it the book? And now I'm thinking it was the book or the trope. I just don't think I like the fake dating trope, but I still enjoy that one more than this one. So our two characters, obviously this is gonna have spoilers in it, so if you haven't read it or you want to read it, the basis of this is we have Olive, who is a graduate student in science, and she's working on like cancer studies on pancreatic cancer. She lost her mom to cancer. And then our hero, his name is Adam, and he is a professor at the same university. They're both at Stanford, and he's also in science, and he is not her professor. Like, she doesn't work under him, he's not her advisor, anything like that. They're just in the same department. And I know there were some people in the review that said it still bothered them, and that didn't bother me, whatever. So essentially, Olive has a bestie named On, I think that's how you pronounce it. And Olive dated this dude for like a little bit, really wasn't into him, but once her friend On met him, she could tell that they really hit it off. But of course On was like, I'm not breaking girl code and dating your ex, but she was sad and wanted On to be happy. And so she lied and told On she was dating someone, or she was going on a date, and then she thought that that same night that she wouldn't run into On, and so I guess they are both in like the biology building or something, and she's like, shit, I told her I was out on a date, what am I gonna do? So she finds a random dude and kisses him, so that On can see her kissing a dude. And it's described so awkwardly, and like it's said in the book, like that was such an awkward kiss. And then, oh my God, she didn't realize she kissed the professor. Like, I know in stories like this, you have to suspend your disbelief. So even though I was rolling my eyes, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with it. And then On, she like tries to avoid her, and then she basically like corners her and is like, what the hell? Because he, Adam, or Dr. Carlson, is known to be the worst. Like, no one wants him as an advisor. No one wants him on their like, what's it called? Thesis committee board or dissertation committee board or whatever, because he's hard, or he's like harsh with his feedback. He's very particular, nitpicky, whatever. No one really likes him as a professor. And so they're like, oh my God, were you kissing the asshole, like Dr. Adam Carlson? Like, I don't know how many times we had to say his first and last name, but it happened a lot. And he conveniently comes up, and so they play it off as if, yeah, we were on a date together. And so they come up with this thing that they're gonna fake date, because she explains to him why she kissed him, because he's like, if you don't tell me, I'm going to file a complaint, a Title IX, I think it is, complaint And so she explains what she was trying to do for her friend, and he's like, no, we can fake date because it also will work for me, because essentially he is really great in what he does. He gets a lot of money in research grants, but the university froze some of his money because they think he's going to leave to go to another university, because he has a lot of other universities want him to come work for them, and they don't think because he's not settled, he hasn't bought a house, he doesn't have a girlfriend, that he is a flight risk and will leave the university, and they don't want to give him all this money if he's just gonna up and leave. So they're like, this is gonna work out for both of us. We can fake date for, I think it's maybe a month or two until the committee board meeting for his funds, like up until then. So that'll give your friend time to get to know this dude, see if they really want to date, and also will help me. Okay, fine. Again, I'm along for the ride. I'm suspending my disbelief at these ludicrous scenarios and situations, but I'm going with it. I wasn't mad at it. I was like, all right, I mean, okay. Here's my issues. I never liked Olive. She was just like,
I'm so quirky, so everything about me is so weird and bad and unhealthy, and I eat Doritos. Oh my gosh, I drink Frappuccinos with lots of sugar. Oh, me, like...
she just didn't feel real to me. She felt very shallow, just like, I'm a quirky science girl. And maybe that's the author, I don't know, but I just thought Olive was ridiculous. Like, it was always focused on her terrible food choices, which is fine, but I just was like, girl, I just need you to drink some water, because anytime they met up was usually at a coffee shop, and it was always about pumpkin spice or a unicorn frap or buying some sweet thing, or I'm eating shit, I don't know. And I love junk food, but it was just a weird thing to focus on. And of course, Adam is tall, broad shoulders, perfect chiseled abs, black coffee. I don't eat those things. This isn't healthy. Like, spare me. And then also in the parameters of their fake dating, she's like, no sex. And he's like, okay. And she's like, we'll just meet up once a week at this coffee shop where a bunch of people frequent so they can see us together. And that'll, like, we just keep it to on-campus things, which makes sense, you know, keeping it to on campus so people on campus see you and it's believable. But I'm like, once a week for fake, like, their limited contact and dates, I wouldn't have believed they were dating. And so they would literally get to the coffee shop, be in line, get coffee, and then she'd be like, all right, I gotta go. And I'm like, that's it? Y'all not even gonna sit there for 30 minutes, like a 5-minute interaction. And they do have other things they end up having to go to together, or being at the same event, like a conference or something, because they're in the same department. But I'm like, it's just weird. They didn't put in a lot of effort. To me, if I was someone in this story, I would not have believed they were dating. And then anytime there was a scenario where Olive was with her bestie, An, who was so annoying. Side note, An, I think, is she Asian American? She is a marginalized person, and her whole personality, besides being so pushy to Olive, is just talking about championing women in STEM things, which is amazing thing, but it just felt like that was her entire, like, she had nothing else going for her. Every time she talked to Olive, if it wasn't like, go kiss your boyfriend, go sit on your boyfriend's lap, go slap their sunscreen all over your boyfriend, it was, I'm hosting this meeting for BIPOC and STEM, I'm hosting this meeting for women in STEM. Like, that's all she talked about. All of the characters felt like cardboard cutouts, and they just had a few things they were supposed to say glued to the front of them, and everyone in this story felt hollow to me. Like, there was the weird scene where they're out, I don't know, at the park or something, or on the lawn, and Adam is playing frisbee with people with no shirt on, and An's like harassing everyone about sunscreen, which I approve, because you know sunscreen is important. But she like gives Olive like way too much. She's like, oh no, go put it on your boyfriend. The slather the sunscreen, and I'm like, okay. Then they go to this science talk, and the auditorium is packed, and Olive's standing off to the side with An. Adam is sitting, and I was like, go sit on his lap. Why would you stand over here? Go sit on his lap. I can't see if you go sit on his lap. Okay, on one hand, An was being annoying and pushy, and the other hand, I'm like, Olive, girl, if you're trying to sell this relationship, sit on the man's lap. Like, good God, you are just really pushing it. There's another scenario where he like helps somebody whose car stalled, like pushed it out of the way, and An's like, go give your man a kiss. What are you doing? And she's like, I can't. One again, An is annoying and pushy, but girl, go give your man a kiss. It's not that, oh my God, you're fake dating. You need to sell it. So they never sold it to me. I felt nothing between them because they're both cardboard cutouts that are just sitting in the same room. And I just had no connection or no interest whatsoever. There also is, like I said, the whole persona around Adam is that he's this hard ass, and so everyone also is like, I can't believe you're dating him, like he seems so terrible. But of course she's like,
It's different with me.
but you never see him be terrible. Like he's just always so nice to her, or just, you know, a normal human being, a decent human being to her. There's one occasion where she has someone who's like a lab partner or something that comes in and yells at her because they just had a meeting with him. And he was really harsh and like dismissed their research or whatever. So you hear from that person that, again, Adam's being an ass, but you never see Adam being an asshole, being really rude to her. Not even in like the hate to love kind of pushing buttons romance way. Like he might make a couple jokes, but he's never an asshole. So I'm like, okay, you can keep telling me this, but I don't believe you because these characters don't have personalities. They're just cardboard cutouts and I hate it. Let me look at my notes. So let's see. I will say I think Adam got a little better in the second half, but still didn't really feel a deep connection to either of them, or even Olive has a sad backstory, but it just I felt nothing for her at all. I don't know what that says about me. No, I'm like, oh my God. But I was like, okay. And flip the page, like I just felt no connection. So again, I didn't think they had any chemistry. Like sure, some of the times they were going back and forth, a little banter was cute, but I just never felt any sexual tension. I never felt anything between them, any angst, like nothing. I felt nothing. And I know that some people were happy, and then I also saw some people who were like either questioning or kind of unhappy with, it seems alluded to in the text that Olive is either asexual or maybe even demisexual, because she keeps saying like in her head, like I don't have, I just don't hook up with people. I have to have a really deep connection to like be sexually attractive and want to have sex with someone. Which is important and great to have in a book. But then, like I said, to me, it didn't feel like they had a real connection, even though on page, she's like, oh my God, am I really starting to like Adam? Am I starting to like Adam? I'm like, are you? Because I couldn't tell. And so she, at this one point, is talking to her roommate in Starbucks on the same day that's their same weekly meeting, and she's saying how she has feelings. She's admitting it to her roommate. She's like, how am I gonna tell him? I can't tell him. And of course, Adam's standing right behind her. So when he sits down, she's like, oh my God. But he thinks it's about the boy that now On is dating, and she just goes with that. Like, oh my God. I know that miscommunication is often used because if they communicated, there really wouldn't be a story. Sometimes it doesn't bother me. Sometimes you're like, oh no. And you're like reading to keep figuring out what when they're finally gonna say it. But I was like, you fucking idiot. You could have just said it right then, because you could tell he was heartbroken, and she was like, she didn't admit that she was talking about him, and that made me mad. So then they go to this work conference or school conference in Boston, and again, let me mention that On is not a good friend, because her, On, and her roommate, I can't remember his name, were supposed to like room together in Boston for the conference because they're all going. And then she's like, hey, let's book blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh. And so Malcolm's like, is that his name? Malcolm? That just came out of my mouth. Malcolm, I think, is her roommate. It's like, oh, well, somebody offered me to stay with him, so I'm gonna stay with him. And then On and her new boyfriend, she's like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna get a room together. And then she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, well, duh, room with your boyfriend,
Dr. Adam Carlson.
And she's like, I can't do that. I'm like, girl, again, you're not selling this fake dating. So she's looking for all these places, and then she tells it to Adam, and he's like, well, you could just stay with me. And she's like, no, I can't do that. And he's like, yeah, you can. I got a double bed, whatever, suite, whatever. And she's like, no, Adam, it's gonna be one bed. He's like, no, I'm really sure I got the confirmation I got a double bed. Like, it's only one bed, Adam. And he's really confused. That was another thing I didn't like. This book was too meta, I guess, for me, because often the characters, specifically Olive, would talk about romance tropes out loud, and I don't like that. Like, she was like, no, it's always only one bed. And at one point she was talking about like, there were a few mentions of like romance tropes or things that happen in romance novels that were like dialogue, and I was like, no, I don't like it. And they get to the hotel, it is a double bed. So anyway, they end up having sex. they go from these once a week meetings in Starbucks for like 5 minutes. I feel nothing. He figures out that, or he thinks that she feels for the dude that her best friend is with. And she can see the hurt on his face, but she still lies. Then they're here in this conference. Oh, and this comes after she's basically sexually assaulted by a professor from Harvard that she was hoping to do research with. And he had like approved her whatever and was like, yeah, you can come work in my lab. And then after the conference, after she had like presented, he came on to her and she was like, ugh, like back up. Even though he's supposed to be Adam's friend, he's coming on to his friend's girlfriend. And he's like, you thought that your paper got chosen and then I was gonna come let you work in my lab because of your work or your merit? You know what you owe me, kind of thing. Super gross. And she like fights him off, and then Adam sees her crying and he's like, why are you crying? And she's like, nothing. Again, she doesn't tell him. So then later they have, I guess they're being emotional together, like they went and got food, and then she's like, and they have sex. And it is so awkward. It is so awkward. I still have the book on Kindle. I highlighted parts in here. One of the lines from the dude who sexually assaulted her said, listen, Olive, my friendly advice is suck it up. Keep Adam happy and interested as long as possible, and then come to my lab to finally do some decent work. If you keep me happy, I'll make sure you can save the world from pancreatic cancer. Your nice little sob story about your mom or your aunt or your stupid kindergarten teacher dying from it's only going to get you so far. You're mediocre. Which, rude. So then, whatever, this scene with Adam, here are the parts I highlighted. Now, her name is Olive. Adam says, you're edible, Olive. I can't. Also, Adam, he could fit her entire breast in his mouth. All of it. He groaned in the back of his throat, and it was clear that he'd love to swallow her whole. Olive should touch him too. He could fit her entire breast into his mouth. All of it. Now either he has some really weird demon mouth, or she just has a nip, because what is going on? That is such a fucking weird way to describe that. I hated it. I hated it. And then there was something that bothered me, and I know that this is like kind of unfair because all women, no matter size, have body insecurities, but she kept being like, feeling like weird or like, oh, my body, you know, because she's being naked in front of him the first time. Totally get it. But I hated that in addition to, we know that Adam is tall because she keeps repeating, Adam is so tall, chiseled abs, broad shoulders. Did I mention that Adam has broad shoulders? Did you remember that he's tall? During the sex scene, she like keeps like emphasizing how thin Olive is, like saying chased her jutting hip bones and her ribs, the taut skin of her belly, and at one point saying like her stomach was so concave, like her ribs were sticking out. And I'm like, all right, we get it. He's perfectly fit and she's thin. All right. I don't know. Also, maybe again, because this book felt so hollow to me and I felt no chemistry, that the sex also felt awkward. And like normally I like it, you know, some dirty words or whatever, I'm reading a sex scene, but he kept being like, can I fuck you? And it just sounded like unnatural. I was like, could you not ask her like that? Like, I'm glad you're asking, but could you not ask her like that? Like, I don't like it. Oh, and then he's like, oh no, I don't have a condom. And she's like, it's okay, I'm on birth control and I'm clean. Scientists? Y'all are scientists? And this is what you're doing? You're gonna say, I'm on birth control and I'm clean? Do you know that? Because in the text, she didn't get a recent test, and it is said that she has not had sex in a while. She only, you know, last time, whatever, hooked up with a couple guys in college. Which, by the way, she tells it to Adam, he's like, you're basically a virgin. And then, of course, we have to go to the virginity, you know, virginity is a social contract and stuff, which it is, but I felt like the story was just trying to be too on the nose with stuff, and I was like, oh my God. But y'all are both dumb. Y'all are both dumb for just being like, oh, okay. No worries about possibly either of you giving the other one an STI because she's clean.
Just want to add here that also the use of clean, I feel like further stigmatizes people with STIs it insinuates that they're dirty, and there's enough you know, like there's enough stigma and people already feel ashamed enough if they contract an STI. And so I hate when using the phrase "I'm clean" as if another person who may or may not have some sort of infection is this inherently dirty, nasty person. As a scientist, do better.
And I guess he is too. Or, you know, the birth control is not 100%. But you know, whatever. I'm not a scientist though, so why listen to me? Stupid. Also, so like, he's doing things to her, which, hello, men should worship at the feet of women. And she's like, oh my God, like I should be doing something to you too. Like maybe I should grab this. Maybe I should. I'm like, girl, just enjoy it, damn. And like, he keeps trying to like do things. She's like, no, like let me repay you. And I'm like, who does this? Sit back and enjoy that, girl. Like, and then she does. She gives him a blowjob, and apparently it's like her first one in ages, and she's a fucking pro the first time. This is obviously fan fiction. And this is no shade to fan fiction because fan fiction is amazing. But I'm sorry for a story that's going to be edited and then packaged up for publishing and put out for mass consumption. They needed to do some work to this. This was hollow and terrible.
I have to read this. She goes, "You're so big." He groaned into her neck. His entire body was vibrating with tension. "You can take it." "I can," she told him, voice reedy, and her breath caught halfway through the second word. Women gave birth, after all.
Are we comparing a penis entering a vagina to a baby exiting the vagina? Is that how big he is? Is he an 8-pound baby? What? No. So, and that was one chapter. Maybe it started in one chapter, it was really one chapter, and then like they're after cuddle, whatever. Cringe. I hated it so much. And then there's a confrontation once Olive tells Adam what happened because somehow she was recording her talk to show to her advisor, but she had left the camera on unknowingly, and she caught what the dude was saying to her, and then she went to go confront him about, or tell Adam about it, and they were both there, and she played it, and then Adam goes, like, gets really aggressive and like pushes him up against the wall, which cool, but like, you know, normally I'd be like, yeah, but I was like, whatever. And he's like, Adam exploded so fast, she didn't even see him move. One moment he stood in front of her, and the next he was pinning Tom against the wall. "I'm gonna kill you," he gritted out, little more than a growl. "If you say another word about the woman I love, if you look at her, if you even think about her, I'm going to fucking kill you." Okay, so we spent 65% of this time with our little whatever interactions, and then we have sex on the next day. The woman I love. You haven't even really dated. You haven't even really spent that much time with each other. You don't know about that much information about each other. Not even like the woman I love. I mean, great for you standing up for her, but boy, please, I don't buy it. And then there's something, and she ends up saying "I love you too" at some point. Miss me with all the bullshit. And those were my big things. I felt everybody was shallow and a caricature, so I felt nothing for them. I felt nothing between them. On was annoying. Any of the other side characters weren't really memorable. So like I said, no chemistry. So their sex was awkward. Whole boob and mouth, fucking weird. The jump to the next day, them in love, like nothing. It didn't really feel like they spent that much time together. I wouldn't have believed they were fake dating. And then On's like, "I knew y'all were in love." I'm like, you always had to push her to go hug her man or kiss her man, but apparently it was enough to make you think they're in love. Like, get out of here. This is shit. This was a hollow waste of time. I'm so mad about it because it's like, now on TikTok, or hyped on TikTok, and it's probably gonna win fucking Goodreads Romance of the Year, and I'm just so mad about it. Like, there's so many good reviews on Goodreads I was reading, and I'm probably forgetting something, but I'm mad about it. It's just like, what? Like, romance is already short, so you have to do well to like give characters backstory, history, make them feel real, and move the story. Like a good romance, this is the length of an average romance, but she gave me nothing. She gave me hot air. I really feel like maybe the science part was written wrong. I'm not a scientist, and I think the writer is, and I think that's where she needs to stay and leave writing alone. That's not, you know, scientific papers, because this was hot garb. Actually, yeah, no, it was hot garb, and I'm pissed. I gave it 2 stars. It probably deserves 1. I'm mad about it, but that's it for me today. I'm gonna end it right here. I'm gonna thank my patrons. I'm gonna calm down. I need to go to the store. My pressure is too high. Shout out to Bebe's besties, Lisa, Hannah, Brina, Kayla, Jamie, Rainer, Danielle, Katie, Bobby, Jen, Leo, Kate, Terry, Emily, Jessie, Janine, Sarah, Pepper, Shannon, Kirsten, Elizabetta, Amber, Celine, Maria, and Serena. And also the Nigel, Lavandria, Stans, Brianna, Katrina, Rosie, Ava, Claire, Carrie, Demery, and Rainey. Thank you so much also to the friends and admirers of Bebe. Thank you to everyone who watches and supports the channel. Whew. If you love this book, all right. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree, and you're just gonna have to be loud and wrong. But thank you for watching. After I said that, I might give this video a thumbs up. But I think that's gonna be it for me today. So I hope you're blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreened. That's one thing I can agree on. Sunscreened. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.